Welcome back to the Boardwalk Bar and Grill here in Cork City. Mahayana, happiness is an area you deal with. We've spoken about diet and we've spoken about how you should look after your body. I would think that it's very difficult for an awful lot of people to be happy. And I also think that with, say for instance, a 60% divorce rate in the UK, it's getting more and more difficult for people to be happy. You know?
I think people actually go in the pursuit of happiness and they will not settle for anything less than trying to reach a certain level of contentment, and that may be why there's a high rate of divorce. So maybe if we look at it that way, you know, rather than, you know, being unhappy would be the product of divorcing. Definitely for a while it's very hard, you know, I went through this experience myself. But I think people really look within. We're breaching a new era here where, you know, there's quite a lot of talk about being self-aware. There's a lot of talk about wanting to be happy. And
that's the word. You see, that's the thing I'm talking about. People are out there trying to achieve this, and this. And I think to a large extent it's unachievable, and we should be happy with what we've got as opposed to what we are trying to achieve.
Yes, absolutely.
Or we see other people's happiness or love or wealth, and it's a head wrecker.
You know, we see an image. You see, like if you take a picture of a couple having lunch, you know, and they may be smiling that moment. Maybe they might have had a dispute 2 seconds ago, you know. It's images and it's what's being fed to us very much, you know. Contentment is different from happiness. And contentment is really born out of being grateful with what we have, not what we don't have.
And what is that? A good relationship, a good home, whether that's on your own or with a family, good sex?
Now, all of that is still on the outside. Contentment is really to do with feeling at peace, you know, within. After that, things are, you know, definitely all of that brings happiness or sorrow. But contentment is born from feeling content, feeling at peace, not grasping so much, counting the blessings. You know, a lovely exercise to do in the family or for breakfast or whatever is tell each other things you're grateful for every day.
How do you mean? Sit down and pass compliments at 7:30 in the morning?
No, while you're having breakfast.
You're trying to get them to eat porridge or trying to get them out of school?
While you're having breakfast, ask them, is there anything you feel grateful for right now?
I can imagine the answer.
Do you know what I mean?
Maybe at dinner time would make a bit more sense.
Any time is good, you know, but just to really bring this idea that what do you have that you're happy about? You know, not what you don't have that you're unhappy about, because that brings about grasping and desire, which there's nothing wrong with, but I mean, that's always out of reach, it seems. Or when I have this, I'll be happy, or when I'll have the bigger house, or when I'll have this, whatever, or when I'll be on holiday, I'll be happy. You can be happy now.
Do you think that's what brought on maybe the Celtic tiger and ultimately brought on a recession?
I think the tiger is bigger than Celtic. I'll you know, venture out and say the tiger is worldwide. There's a discontentment all over the place. I mean, this recession is worldwide, you know. So
but the ability to grasp, I'm saying, and wanting more wealth and wanting what the person next door wants. Then ending up heavily in debt and with
that's a huge problem.
Bills.
Absolutely. So it's really, maybe the recession is here, and a lot of people will hate that I'm saying that, but let's look at it like an opportunity to go back to basics a little bit more and count our blessings rather than, you know. Yes, certainly people are losing their jobs. I lost my job a few months ago, but it's just folding back to, okay, what do I have that I'm truly content for? Not this, you know, made up happiness that doesn't really exist, but what we really have for each other, you know?
And that, you talk about relationships with each other. The book is fairly hooked up on sex, I have to say, of all sorts of different
There's a little section on it.
Oh, so I went straight for that part of it, I always do. Maybe when I was a kid I used to look those parts up in books. But you talk about the importance of it, don't you?
Yes, absolutely,
I mean, it can be quite detailed. I mean, you're talking about 5 and 6 hour lovemaking sessions, for God's sake. Who's got time for that? Huh? You?
Well, why not take time?
6 hours?
Why not? I don't think that's anywhere in there.
I think you said lock the doors, make sure there's nobody around, and take out 4 hours.
Well, that maybe if you've been in a relationship, if you've been married 20 years, how many people can say that they're spending time with each other? You mightn't actually be having wild sex for the 5 or 6 hours, but how about getting in touch a little bit with one another? I bring up Tantra, actually, you know.
Tantric sex, yes, that's very bold, isn't it?
It's worth bringing up because a lot of people have that as gourmet sex, you know, which is definitely not what it is. Tantra is really, although it's hard to define Tantra, it's more about appreciating the process and enjoying the energy
really?
of being with one another rather than focusing on, say, the orgasm or the moment of...
I thought tantric sex was multiple orgasms, loads of them.
You see,
Bring 'em
everybody
on.
does, you know. It's not really like that. It's more to do with enjoying the journey and not being so tied up to the end result. So actually, it's particularly useful for men that are going into middle age and further on than that, because it's less about the performance and more about the ability to connect with one another.